And then Rebecca, do you want to present your topics?
Absolutely. So I think everybody knows who I am, but maybe except for Austin. So this is for him. My name is Rebecca Kaas, and I'm a DVOP for a state of Minnesota Veterans Employment Program. So I work directly with military veterans who have significant barriers to employment, and I give them a lot of advice on different topics. And so one of the topics is salary negotiations. So if you're in a conversation with a recruiter or with a hiring manager and the subject of salary comes up. So what I always say, the advice that I always give is when they ask you what your requirements are, they may not word it that way, but they're asking you what you want to make. So the best way to answer that is not to give them a dollar amount. And the reason for that is because you don't know what they've budgeted. They know, but you don't know until you ask. Don't ever assume that you know what they're paying, regardless of what people have told you, because you just really cannot depend on that advice. So the best thing to do is ask them what they budgeted for the position. And then 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you a range. So what do you do with that information? So first thing is, before you even get to the interview, you need to do your homework. You need to know what the labor market is currently paying for that job in that town, and as specific to the locality as possible. So how do you get that information? So I'm going to share my screen. Alan, I'm not good at this. Okay, share screen. So here we go. So I'm going to put it on this one.
I have faith in you.
Okay, I'm doing my best. Okay, share. There we go. Share.
So
can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Can I add something here really quick?
Absolutely.
A quick experience is also not only know what the labor market is bearing, but if it's a remote position, which is highly possible nowadays, know where their headquarters is. Because I had a company that's based in California, and that's a very different salary than here in Minnesota.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's a really good point. Okay, so, and yeah, there are a lot of remote jobs out there. So, the locality is kind of irrelevant. So it is a good idea to know where the company is headquartered. All right, so to get your labor market information, you can get them. The two places that I go to get the labor market information for my veterans is, number one, you need to figure out the job, the job title. So the first place I go for that is I go to ONET online. So ONET is it's a product of the Department of Labor, and it has all kinds of information on the world of work for job seekers and people who help people find jobs, and it's open to the public. So the first thing you need to do, and I'm gonna enlist the help of anyone in our virtual audience who wants to give me a job title. Make it something common, very common. Let's throw out something.
Project manager.
That's a little broad. Can you give me something more specific?
Electrician.
Fire.
Electrician, I like that. So if you can see what I'm doing, I'm actually going to type in the job title up here in the occupation quick search. Okay, so electrician. Okay, so it's going to give you a list of job groupings that have similar job titles that are very closely related to each other. So what do we have at the very top? Oh my goodness, what do you know? We have electricians. So we click on that, and this is going to give you a summary report for this job title, which is very helpful. It's going to give you basically a description of the job itself, the task involved, technology skills, knowledge, skills, abilities, work activities, and so on and so forth. So when we're talking about the labor market information, you're going to find that down at the very bottom. So here we go, the wages and employment trends. So let's say that we are looking in the state of Minnesota. We'll just make it simple, keep it simple. So we type enter Minnesota, and we want to click on go. Okay, so this is going to give you all kinds of data. All right. So if you see up at the top where it says Minnesota, so these jobs start out at 10% of workers in Minnesota. So this is what they're currently earning. So it's going to go from like, if I scroll down in this area right here, okay, do you see that where it says low 10%, median 50%, and high 90%? Okay, so low is basically it's entry level with little to no experience. That's the low. The median is that if you're looking at a job posting that you meet all of the minimum requirements and maybe some of the preferred, or maybe you don't have any of the preferred, but you meet all the minimum. So that's the median. The high is you meet all the minimum and most, if not all, the preferred qualifications. So obviously, in this area, you're going to be expecting to earn a much higher salary. All right. So now this information right here is actually taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. Now this information is from 2019. Okay, so it's not the most up to date. So this is where I go to get the most up to date information. I go to the DEED Career and Education Explorer, and I put the URLs in the chat so you can copy paste, and you'll have that whenever you want to take a look at it. Now this information is only for Minnesota. All right, so if you're looking for a job in any other state, this is not going to help you, but I think it's safe to assume that most people are, starting out with Minnesota. And so we're going to go with our original job title, which is electrician. So you want to click on Explore Careers and then enter the same job title in the box. So I never said I could type. All right, electrician, and enter. Okay, so down here is where you're going to get even more specific. So electrician, so we can click on that just for the sake of this demonstration. So down below that is you're going to choose your region. Now you can choose either statewide or you can choose your local region. So if we click on local region, this is going to give you both actually. So we can choose like a county, like, if you guys are mostly in the Twin Cities area, we can choose Hennepin. Any one of the counties in Minnesota you can choose from. So this is going to say, EDR 11-7 county Twin Cities. So from here, we just click go. Okay, so up at the top, it's going to give you an overview, wages, demand, education, on the job, apply for jobs, print all. Though I don't really look at the education on the job apply. What I really look at is the wages and the demand. Okay, so this is going to tell you which counties they're talking about specifically. All right, so you can see for electricians in the Twin Cities, half of all the jobs are currently paying $26.24 an hour to $45.35. Now, this information is up to date as of 2020. Okay, so it's a lot more up to date than ONET. It's a lot more up to date than ONET. And this information actually comes from the Occupational Employment Statistics, which is basically, it is taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BL. It's taken from the BLS, just like ONET is. It's just a lot more up to date. And oh, by the way, it's going to be updated again in May. So you want to keep that in mind. All right, if you're job searching, it's going to be updated again in May. All right, so we can see that there's a high demand for electricians and expected number of job openings over the next 10 years. That's pretty good, right? High demand. High demand is actually really good to know because that's going to give you a lot more leverage when it comes to negotiating your salary. Because if these jobs are in high demand, then employers might be having a hard time filling them. Doesn't make sense, right?
Hey,
So,
Rebecca.
yeah.
That's also important when you're applying for like a class or some sort of dislocated worker program where you can get funding. They want to know if that job's sticking around. They
Yep.
ask-
Yep. Another good point. Thank you. All right. I really hadn't thought about that, but you're right. Okay. I never said I knew everything. All right. So we're going to go to the wages. Okay. So come on. Why isn't, oh, it's thinking. It's thinking. Okay, here we go. So you're going to have the information for the region, the local region, and you're also going to have it for Minnesota. So this is really good information. So you've got your low 10th percentile, entry level, no experience, your median, some experience, meets minimum qualifications, and then your high. You meet all the minimum qualifications and you have a lot more experience. So there you go. 49.65 is the high. And the median wage offer is 22.35 an hour. And this is all good stuff to learn, to know. Keep that in your back pocket. Keep that in your back pocket. Because when you get into salary negotiations and you've asked them, what they budgeted for the position, and they tell you, and maybe it's not quite as high as you had thought or had hoped, but you have some solid information to counter that with. And you can say, well, based upon the labor market information for the state of Minnesota, what I found is these types of jobs, or this job typically pays, and you have to know where you're at, on the scale, low, median, high. Then you can say, well, based upon, what I have learned, what the current labor market is paying, current labor market is paying this, and you can give them like low to median or median to high. Try to keep it in a range, give them a range and say something like, well, given that, plus the fact that, whatever it is you bring to the table, how many years of experience that you have, in any special skills, education, certifications, you've got all that to give them. And so you give them that, say, well, this is what I think I would be comfortable with. Don't make demands. Never want to make demands. Just say something like that. And that's pretty much all I've got. Does anyone have any questions? I just came in a little bit over 20. Yay. I was
Less
just
than
like
that.
This is Mike. I had a quick question too. I mean, this is all when you're negotiating. Did we talk when you fill out the app and they want a number there too? When you're applying for the job?
Well, if you're actually filling out an online application and it's asking you that question, you could always try to put negotiable in that box. Put negotiable in there. If it doesn't allow alpha characters, there's different theories on that. And what I've read is that maybe you could put like a 1, like the number 1, which is obviously can't be a salary. So what does that mean, right? If there's another place where you can enter like text into a box, if there's any way that you can do that, you want to explain, what that 1 means, that you're open to negotiation. If you can do that, I would try very hard not to put, you don't leave it blank. You may not even be able to leave it blank depending on the application form, but just try not to, I don't know, try not to be forced to put a dollar amount in there if you can avoid it. That's all I can say.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
other great questions that are out there? No?
No? Okay, thank you for listening. I'm going to stop sharing.
Wow.
Yeah, I learned I could do it all by myself this time.
All right, I'm gonna
Fantastic
stop the
job as
recording.
always.